And now for something completely different. The Cambridge Footlights, the comedy group who have given the world the likes of David Frost, Griff Rhys-Jones, Clive James, Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, Douglas Adams, and most of Monty Python, well, they've employed the services of something called a sensitivity reader. In other words, a witless killjoy to go through people's comedy scripts and weed out anything that could be offensive, triggering, or upsetting. Well, I'm offended, triggered, and upset by this bollocks. Comedy is designed to push boundaries, to make people uncomfortable, and it's about saying the unsayable. The currency of all great art is truth, and the truth hurts. We need comedy to understand ourselves and the world. But whether it's episodes of Fawlty Towers or Little Britain being cancelled, or edgy comedians like Jimmy Carr being hung out to dry for literally doing their job of telling jokes, we are in the throes of a woke war on comedy. If these Philistine thugs get their way, with their twisted political agenda, which includes the bonkers idea that you can change your biological sex, or that everything is racist, including the countryside, mathematics and knitting, there will be no more entertainment, no more fun, no self-reflection, no banter, no ribbing, no cheeky remarks, no innuendo, no laughter, no life worth living. There can't be comedy without a victim and without testing boundaries. And the expression woke comedy is a contradiction in terms. Which is why in this climate, Hollywood producers have all but given up making comedy films. Even something relatively recent like the brilliant Hangover movies couldn't be made now. Far too un-PC. Well, the latest shocker is GB News star John Cleese saying that a hilarious scene from the life of Brian, Monty Python's outrageous send-up of Christianity, may have to be removed from the live stage version because the actors in the new show aren't comfortable performing these jokes. Well, the jokes in question are based around a bloke. It's a guy called Stan from Life of Brian who now wants to be called Loretta. So he's like, I'm called Stan, I want to be called Loretta, and he wants to have a baby. Now, when the world was sane, that was a funny idea, but now it's probably something your GP thinks is possible. After all, the NHS now reckons there are 18 genders and counting. What's going on? Comedy and satire are the arbiter of a free society. If you can't joke about anything you want, you go to a very dark place. When the Taliban took over Afghanistan after the US's botched departure, who was the first person they went for? A comedian and satirist who mocked the regime, Nazar Mohammed. He was taken off and murdered. His comedy far too dangerous for them. Of course, it's not remotely on the same scale, but there are mild echoes here. The cult of woke will not allow scrutiny and will certainly not allow mockery. We comply with this stuff because we want it to go away, but our compliance means it never will. This is scary, folks, and we must push back. Peaceful people power is what I would call it. The ability to lampoon anyone and anything is the ultimate hill to die on. Which is why fearless and hilarious comedians like Ricky Gervais are so important. How can The Life of Brian, a movie which was clever and hilarious 45 years ago, now be so problematic? Well, it's not. The problem is woke censors who find offence in every line. How much of the greatest comedy ever made could survive the once-over from these so-called sensitivity readers? There would be nothing left, only stage directions. The current war on comedy is no laughing matter, but they won't prevail. After all, the pun is mightier than the sword.